Thanks, Rita. Welcome to BBC London. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on tonight's programme. The Mayor promises to keep free primary state school meals for all pupils while he's at City Hall. But at what cost to London, as questions remain over how they'll be funded?
We'll be publishing our budget in due course and setting out confirmation that this policy will carry on next year.
Also ahead this Tuesday, stopping Londoners getting caught short, the campaign to bring back more public toilets across the capital. Plus, how nightclubs are adapting to changing habits to help balance the books. And snow flurries in central London in November as the capital gets a taste of winter. Hello and good evening to you. It started off as a one-year emergency measure in 2023 to help families with the cost of living. And then the Mayor's free primary school meals policy was extended to cover this academic year. Today, Sadiq Khan confirmed a promise he made in his recent re-election campaign that free primary state school meals for all pupils would continue as long as he's Mayor. But he was questioned today over where the funding for the £140 million a year scheme will come from. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Mercer.
Thank you.
It's lunchtime at Van Gogh Primary School in South London. Today, chicken or vegetable enchiladas, a salad bar and a selection of fruit.
I think they're really good because there is a variety of food at the area. For example, bread, vegetables like spinach, lettuce.
I think the school dinner ladies, they actually try really hard on them to make sure all of the children think the school meals are very nice.
Some days they even get people to come in and do special meals for us.
Nice.
So I really like them.
All London primary school children at the moment can get free lunchtime meals, a policy costing City Hall around £140 million a year.
I think they're really good, and I think free school meals will help parents that can't support their children. When I go back to class, I don't feel hungry anymore.
I think it does help you concentrate after, because usually in your lessons you're a bit hungry. After, you're never hungry.
Thank you. We've got a family support worker who does extraordinary support for our families. And so when we know that they're contending with heating bills and just electricity in their homes, to know that they can have a healthy meal at lunchtime here is that thing that is ultimately really, really important to them.
And today, the first independent research into the scheme said it was better for education and behaviour and backed the deal being free for all and not being means tested.
We've heard schools and parents describe it as a real leveller for children and families, and that it's really creating a sense of equality and fairness at school and is removing that stigma that you always get with means testing.
But at a London Assembly meeting this morning, one Conservative member raised questions on the quality of the food served and the cost.
Given that so much money is going into this, what is it, 140 million? And that's coming out of the group budget. I hope that's not coming out of policing, because we need to make sure that we keep our Londoners safe.
The scheme isn't yet funded beyond this year. The Mayor had promised to fund it during his re-election campaign for the whole of his current term.
When you say this policy will carry on, have you got a commitment that you're going to continue this policy for as long as you're Mayor, so until 2028?
My promise to Londoners is for as long as I'm Mayor, children going to state primary schools will receive this offer of a universal free school meal.
We'll find out how he'll pay for it in the coming months. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Now, it might have been a bit of a surprise waking up to snow flurries in central London in November. This is Regent Street. Maybe there was a flurry of snow where you live or affected your commute this morning. Admittedly, it wasn't like other parts of the country, of course, but someone watching closely is our weather presenter, Corsa Kwama. Nice to see you. I know you're going to give us a proper forecast later, but just give us a sense of where this has been coming from.
So we had this low pressure that we were talking about. It was coming in from the west. It brought outbreaks of snow to the north of us, and that was expected. So if we take a look at the pressure chart, I'll show you exactly where. This was a scene in Northwood. Yeah. You can see quite snow. Yeah, lovely picture here. But we had this low pressure system coming in, and it brought with it mild air, outbreaks of rain. To the north of us, cold air. Where the two meet, that's where we see the likelihood of snow. Now, we did have a lot of snow further towards the north of us. For us, those snow flurries, and temperatures really dipped quickly, Riz. So it was 12 degrees at 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday. By 5 in the morning, it was down to 4 degrees. So that big jump.
I can tell you it felt like it as well.
It felt like it, didn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to continue to see that cold air coming through, yeah.
So how long is it staying, or is that it for London and the surrounding counties?
Well, for the time being, what we're going to find is cold, but we're not going to see much snow. In fact, if anything, instead of snow, we're going to see some stormy weather to come. I'll have more of that, of course, in the forecast.
I feel like we've seen quite a lot of rain recently. I know it's not your fault, but we have seen a lot of rain.
Yes, indeed. And cloud, and it's been quite mild. And, I mean, that's the difference. Sunshine is in the forecast, Riz. That's the good news. Certainly colder.
Sorry, did you say sunshine?
I did say sunshine, didn't I? I know, can you believe it? But it'll be bitterly cold, so you'll need those winter woolies. But, yeah, crisp days, lots of sunshine. Look how amazing was that.
Now, I imagine, I'm not going to ask you, you'll be pleased to know, I'm not going to ask you about the Christmas weather, but how often do you get asked that?
Riz, all the time. And in fact, you're a bit late to the party for this, Riz. I normally get asked about June time for Christmas weather. So, you know, we're not even in winter yet, Riz. We've still got another couple of days till the 1st of December. That's when winter officially starts. Then I can tell you about Christmas.
Is that meteorological winter?
Meteorological winter, yes.
OK. All right. Well, listen, of course, for now, thanks ever so much. We will, of course, as I said, get the proper forecast from you later on in the programme. Do hope you can stay with us this Tuesday evening. Lots more to come, including...
I'll be meeting Tottenham and Australia forward Hayley Raso and finding out about the power of football to break down barriers faced by disabled youngsters.
A woman from South East London says she fears for the life of her 98-year-old mother who has dementia if she's forced to move care homes at the request of her council. She says her mother has spent almost £200,000 on care, but since her money began to run out, the local council had refused to pay for her to stay at the nursing home she's familiar with. Bromley Council said various options had been considered as they continue to assess the situation. Angie George has the story.
Deborah's mum Betty had worked all her life and was proud to own her own home. As she became older, daily visits from carers and family meant she was able to live independently until she was 95, and dementia and heart failure meant she needed the safety of round-the-clock care. So 3 years ago, she moved into a care home.
The home that she's in the moment has been funded by the flat that she had. We had to sign over the flat to the council. It was a deferred payment scheme. So they have loaned her the amount of money that they deemed her property to be worth. We're perfectly happy for that money to have been spent to give 3 years of our mother being happy. It's not the amount of money that we don't have. It just matters that she is safe and happy where she is.
But now, aged 98, the £180,000 from Betty's property is gone.
She has acute heart failure, she has hypertension, she has kidney failure. We honestly thought that there would be enough there for the years we would need.
Currently, if you have less than £23,250 in savings and assets, you typically qualify for local authority funding. That comes with a limit though, so if, as in Deborah's mum's case, the amount doesn't match the cost, the choice is to top up the money somehow or move somewhere cheaper. And Deborah says for her mum, neither of those is realistic.
We have had 2 care homes offered to us, neither of which were suitable. I'm on a pension. My husband has Alzheimer's and he will be self-funding before very long. I can't commit to taking that extra on because, quite frankly, we're going to need it here.
In a statement, Bromley Council said, this type of situation is understandably difficult for all concerned and does arise from time to time. But discussions with all concerned have taken place and there is an agreement in place for the resident to remain at the care home where she's been residing whilst we continue to assess the situation. It went on to say that situations like this were likely to become more commonplace as a result of inadequate funding for councils' care services and increased costs for care providers.
What I would say is that she has saved you 3 years of care home fees. You know, even if you said, well, we'll continue for another year, she saved you that. Could you bend a little?
Deborah says she's hoping the council will look sympathetically at her mum's case so that 98-year-old Betty can live out her days somewhere she loves. Angie George, BBC London.
Well, I'm joined now by David Broom from Age UK. Thank you so much for coming in. We heard there the difficult situation facing one family, and I'm sure that will resonate with others. Is this the sort of thing that you're hearing more often?
The sort of situation described in the film is quite common, where people have been previously meeting the full cost of their care. They meet the threshold you mentioned in the film of 23,250, and they approach the council for financial help, and the local council says the home the person is currently in is too expensive in terms of their funded amount. It's quite a common situation, yes.
So the options often can be top it up, as we heard, or move to a different care home that the council may be able to pay for. Do you have any sympathy for the position that local councils are in, given that their budgets are being cut? I suppose they would say we are offering some kind of a solution.
Yeah, I think we understand that local councils are under a lot of financial pressure, and that can lead to these difficult situations that we're talking about. But the council has to always follow the relevant legislation, and there's some key things that they have to do in that sort of situation. They've got to be able to demonstrate that any lower cost alternative they're identifying would be suitable to meet that person's individual needs, and that there isn't a suitable lower cost alternative that could meet the person's needs. The council may have to pay more to enable that individual to stay in the care home they're in at the moment.
Okay. So what advice would you give to other families in a similar position or facing the issue of, paying the cost of a care home?
Yeah, sure. So in this situation that we're discussing, I think one really important thing people can do is go back to the council and ask them to demonstrate that the funding level they've put in place is enough to meet that person's individual need. If they're talking about moving to a lower cost care home, ask the council to explain why they believe that's suitable for that person's individual need, and ask the council to consider whether or not they need to pay that bit more to allow the person to stay where they are to ensure that their needs are met.
So go back and ask those questions of the council, basically. Can I ask you, David, where can you point people to for further information or support? Can you offer advice on that? Yeah,
sure. So people can reach out to us at Age UK. People go to ageuk.org.uk. We've got lots of information about paying for care, including about the specific situation that we've been discussing this evening. And also we have an advice line where people can call, speak to an advisor. All the details are on the website.
OK, that is really helpful. I know that Age UK does provide a lot of support. And just to say, we did also ask the government for a response on this, given the situation with budgets. We've asked for it, and once we get it, it will be on our online article that's on the BBC London website. David Broom, thank you very much for your time this evening. Appreciate it. Let's turn now to a roundup of some of the day's other stories. Charges have been dropped against Zara Alina's murderer after a prison workshop instructor pleaded guilty to having an inappropriate relationship with him. Jordan McSweeney killed Zara as she walked home after a night out. Hayley Jones had admitted to misconduct in a public office over an inappropriate relationship with him at Belmarsh Prison. A post-mortem examination has found that a woman whose body was found in a car boot in East London died of strangulation. The body of Harshita Brella, who was from Corby in Northamptonshire, was found in Ilford on Thursday. The prime suspect is her husband, Pankaj Lamba, who detectives believe has fled the country. The London Cycling Campaign has released its latest data, mapping out the capital's most dangerous junctions. Top of the list is the Upper Tooting Road in Wandsworth. Campaigners say not enough is being done to protect the safety of cyclists. And a watch made for French Queen Marie Antoinette is to go on display for the first time in the UK at the Science Museum next month. The piece, which features rubies and sapphires, was intended to be worn by her, but she didn't live long enough to see it finished. Next, Londoners have told us of their frustration and fear of getting caught short due to the lack of available and accessible public toilets across the capital, especially for parents with young children, older people and those with certain health conditions. Many public loos have disappeared over the past decade, and today news that some in the West End are being brought back. But is it enough? Lakshmi Gopal has more.
A public toilet locked up and left out of use. Not an uncommon sight in London. Research by the Soho Neighbourhood Forum shows a 70% drop in the number of public toilets in Soho alone. An impact felt particularly by workers who spend long days on the road.
This is an issue that we've had for years, being out there in the field, whether you're doing deliveries or you're installing telephone lines. You can end up with infections. You know, when you're holding on for too long, and it's embarrassing, you know. You don't want to use customers' facilities either. So you can end up spending the whole day not actually doing a normal function.
Campaigners in Soho today, calling for better provision, say it's about more than convenience. It's a basic human right.
For the millions of people who have a period, it is a daily reality, and it's something that they should be able to manage with dignity and the respect that they deserve. And for London to be the inclusive city that we all envision it to be, we need infrastructure and policy that really looks after directly like people's needs and takes care of everyone.
The group's data suggests it's also bad for business, with potential visitors being put off by the lack of facilities.
We want 7 new toilets. This would go some way to capture the missing £4.9 million that Soho is missing by not being able to provide toilets for the elderly, those less able, and also pregnant women who are not visiting Soho.
Westminster City Council says it's spending £12.7 million on refurbishing 8 West End toilets and further money upgrading neighbourhood toilets and urinals. Campaigners say more is needed, but at a time of stretched council budgets, how could this be paid for?
Lots of ways. A visitor contribution could make a real difference, giving local authorities and possibly the mayor money to be able to invest in public toilets. The other thing is thinking about business rates, having something coming back from business rates to invest in public toilets and keeping them clean would make a real difference.
However it's funded, there are growing voices for more investment on being able to spend a penny. Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
Could London's hospitality sector finally be enjoying a revival after 4 years of uncertainty caused by COVID? New figures suggest the total number of licensed premises here in the capital has increased for the last 2 quarters. However, while some sectors like bars and restaurants are benefiting, others, including nightclubs, are still struggling and finding ways to adapt to help balance the books. Matt Graveling reports.
A packed dance floor, the dream for any DJ. It's also the dream for club owners as venues continue to struggle financially post-COVID. But a new report suggests some areas of London's hospitality sector are now recovering. This day rave in the city is bringing back people and pounds.
I was talking to a friend who's got a series of nightclubs and bars out in Hertfordshire, and he basically telling me the only reason he's stayed afloat in the last 6 months is because of the daytime parties that he puts on.
In September 2023, Great Britain was home to around 100,000 licensed premises. More than 18,000 of these were in Greater London, and just under 3,000 were located in London's city centre. Fast forward 12 months, and while Britain has seen a slight reduction in total numbers, London has seen a slight rise, with a 0.4% increase in Greater London and 1.8% rise in the city centre. However, within hospitality, some areas are faring better than others. Over the last year, bars and high street pubs have seen modest growth nationally, while nightclubs are the hardest hit, with venue numbers still in decline. A year ago, actress Vicky McClure founded Day Fever alongside her husband, another new venture bringing music and money through daytime dancing.
It's great for the clubs because they're not doing anything in the day, and so they're getting to double up their revenue and go, right, we'll have Day Fever in the day, and then they'll do a quick turnaround and they've got their night shift, and so they're making, you know, more profit, which is brilliant.
However, while day raves are helping to support a struggling sector, the new stats also come with a warning, saying any growth within hospitality may be threatened by the government's autumn budget, which asks employers to pay more national insurance. The government said they are protecting small businesses' business rates bills and providing more relief, totalling £1.6 billion.
I don't think nightclubs was on their list when they did that budget. I think, you know, the nighttime economy that brings in so many billions of pounds every year is getting less and less of those billions. An endless list of people are losing their jobs. There's no point in having a budget if no one's got any work. Do you get what I'm saying, Jeff? Who's going to pay for it?
Matt Graveling, BBC London.
She's a bit of a star. Now to Spurs striker Hayley Raso, an international player who's represented Australia nearly 100 times. She's now hoping to use her profile to push for greater inclusivity for people with disabilities, a cause that's very close to her heart, which is why she says being part of today's Fair Play football session for disabled children in Tottenham felt very special to her. Our sports reporter Chris Legg explains.
Wherever she's played, Hayley Raso has never had a problem scoring goals. One of her goals off the pitch, pushing for greater inclusivity for disabled people.
That is something that I think is so important to me. I feel like you have to make sure that everybody feels welcome, everybody feels included, no matter differences. And that's something I'll speak up on a lot and I make sure people know about.
It's a cause she's personally invested in.
My oldest brother, Jordan, was born with a disability, so we've grown up with him. It's been tough, but I feel so blessed to have him in my life and to be able to get down here and be a part of something that's so similar and so special to my heart.
Today, at a North London school, she helped run a session called Fair Play Football, a programme put together by the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
We offer PE, we offer leadership skills and also fundamental skills programmes for these young people, so they get best start in life they can while they're at school and before they leave school.
What do you particularly enjoy about the game that you were playing here today?
Yeah, the passing and how many goals I got. About 4 goals.
Well done.
Well, I enjoyed playing as a team, playing together as a team. It's a great experience.
We're all about growth here and aspiration, and I think, you know, this is an environment in which our children feel comfortable. They build up those strong relationships with the coaches from Spurs who come and help us out, and it really helps them to build their confidence in this environment.
Spurs' tricky run continued on Saturday with defeat to Arsenal in the North London derby. Difficult start to the season with just 2 wins from the first 8 games. Realistically, what are your ambitions for the rest of this campaign?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to take it one game at a time at the moment because, like you said, we've had probably not as good as a start as we would have liked. But for us, we've got a run of 6 good games coming up, so we want to make sure we're getting points from those. And I think if we can just start taking it step by step and grinding out some results, we'll see a big difference in the way we're playing.
The victories will surely come, and today, everyone involved felt like a winner. Chris Legg, BBC London.
And before we get to the weather, which of course is one of the big stories of the day, do you recognise these very famous shoes? They're one of only 4 surviving pairs of the original ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in the film The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and are going on display in London at the end of the month before being auctioned off in Los Angeles. In the end scene, of course, she clicks her heels 3 times, saying there's no place like home. Takes me back to childhood. OK, let's return to Corset again for a full forecast after this snow flurry and what has felt like endless rain. Thanks, of course, to everyone for sending in their pictures as well.
We've had some amazing pictures sent in, really beautiful pictures of like wintry weather. It is all set to change though, Riz. We've got some decent sunshine in store for the next few days, although you'll probably need to wrap up in the layers, Riz. Very cold weather, as I mentioned, on its way.
To sunshine.
Yes, indeed. Well, sunshine, yeah, that is the good news. But certainly early this morning, that was not the case. As we've been talking about the snow, this particularly wintry picture was sent in by one of our weather watchers in Surrey. But it is all set to change. But if we take a look back at the radar image over the last sort of 12 to 14 hours, you can see that cloud, that snow, that rain just slipping further southwards. And we did have some wintry flurries, mainly between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock this morning, mainly rainy conditions after that. But that's continued to clear. And actually, for the next few days, we're losing that milder air, drawing in much colder air all the way from the Arctic. But there will be a fair amount of dry weather, some decent spells of sunshine, but bitterly cold. And with the cold weather overnight tonight too, and where we've had those showers and we've got some lying water, well, the risk of ice. Now, for this reason, the Met Office have issued a yellow weather warning for the risk of icy stretches on untreated frozen surfaces. And this is valid all the way through until tomorrow morning around 10 o'clock. So we are going to continue to see the risk of icy stretches. So do watch out if you're heading out and about. But overnight tonight, dry, clear skies. It will still be particularly chilly out there, still quite breezy as well. And temperatures overnight, look at this, down to freezing in central London, -2, -3 Celsius elsewhere. So certainly take care of those icy stretches first thing tomorrow morning on untreated surfaces. But lots of sunshine in store, still quite a breezy day, just a few passing showers to the far east. It does look like for most of us it will be dry. And temperatures by tomorrow afternoon, daytime temperatures, well, we're looking at it staying quite chilly. So really low single figures quite widely, around 3 to 5 degrees. And that is the story over the next few days. So for tomorrow night too, we're expecting a lot of dry weather, clear skies, and it will be another chilly night as temperatures again dip below freezing. There is still the risk of overnight frost again tomorrow night as well. A bit more in the way of cloud perhaps by the end of the night, and temperatures again down to below freezing. So a chilly start to the day as we look ahead to Thursday, but it will be another dry day. Some cloud around perhaps, maybe just a few showers just skirting this far south, but it does look like it should be mostly dry and temperatures similar 2 to 4 degrees. But looking ahead quickly into the weekend, well, we lose that. We're expecting some wet and windy weather to arrive our way. So it's going to become much more stormier, I'm afraid, as we look ahead to the weekend. But for the time being, still some sunshine around. But to the weekend, look at those temperatures back up to 14 or 15 Celsius with wet and windy weather our way.
Wow, a mixed bag. Of course, thank you. A quick reminder of some of the day's main stories. Thousands of people have protested in London over changes to inheritance tax for farmers announced in the budget. Among those was TV presenter Jeremy Clarkson, who called for the government to change its mind. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he understood farmers' concerns and wants to support them, but added the vast majority would be unaffected. And as we've just been hearing, the UK has had its first taste of winter today, with parts of the country blanketed in snow. There have been school closures and train delays, and central London even had a sprinkling of snow this morning. So thanks again for the pictures that you've shared. That's it. Thanks for watching. Plenty more on the day's news on our website and Instagram, and other stories there too, including, if you missed it, a chat with the stars of the film Wicked on the emerald green carpet. Some getting a bit soaked, but in good spirits. From us here, have a lovely evening.